Annette, tell us about your experience with the food bank and how it's helped your family.
Oh, okay. Single mom, 3 kids, working 3 jobs, one of them delivering newspaper overnight, and still not bringing in enough. Trying to keep a roof over their head, trying to keep some food in everybody's belly. I'm eating crackers, trying to get the kids to eat all the food. I see a clip on TV. Basically, the kids were taken from this family because of what they were eating, and I just had this like 2x4 hit me. Oh my gosh, that's pretty much what's in our cupboard, and it scared me to death. I thought, what if somebody finds out my kids aren't getting fed and they take them? So my health crashes. I wind up at social services, gal there who, yeah, I don't know how many other people might have ran into her, but basically she was just what I needed. Told me, your pride has kept you from, you know, filling your kids' tummies with some food and taking care of them, basically. So here's a box of Kleenex, you know, get over it. Wipe my nose, send me on my way, and as soon as I got home, I phoned the food bank. And when I came home with those groceries that first time for those kids, like it was like Christmas. There was just tons of food, and it helped my kids be just regular kids with other kids. And the hope, like, wow, Mom, what's happening? Like, are we doing better, Mom? Are things getting better? And I was able to say yes, was like, that's the 649. To be here today, have things better, it just means so much to me to be able to give back and share, you know, and not to let your pride keep you from using the food bank. You're doing all you can, chances are you're working 3 jobs too. Come on down and get some help and get fed so everybody can be doing better.
Hi, I'm Nathan Taylor.
And I'm Heather Cinnamano. 26 years ago, a group of volunteers started the Calgary Food Bank. What started in a church basement with 4 volunteers has grown on to be a $1 million organization occupying 60,000 square feet and working with over 4,000 volunteers.
Because of donors like you, last year alone over 87,000 Calgarians used the food bank. In the next half hour, you'll see the entire process, how your food donations travel from start to finish and end up in the hands of those who need it most. Stay tuned.
The journey of the donated food starts off in places like the West Springs Free Methodist Church, Safeway stores, and the Calgary Co-op centers here in the community. Some of the many different organizations that on an annual basis host food drives to collect donations for the Calgary Food Bank.
Well, it's been a very long and healthy relationship. 25 years plus for sure, as long as I can remember, we've been donating food to the food bank at Safeway. They come by 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes as many as 7 days a week, depending on the store, picking up extra food. The pre-packs came about in about 1994. Food Bank came to us and said, you know, we've got certain items that we'd like to see nutritionally, items that we're short of, that you have. So we thought, well, we'll put them together in one easy package for the customers to pick up, make a nice $5 or $10 donation, and it's a win-win because the food bank's getting what they need at that time.
Tell me a little bit about this program. What are you doing today?
Today is the day that we're picking up the food that was donated by the community residents. We dropped off bags earlier in the week, empty bags with a flyer from the Interfaith Food Bank. And as such, we're advertising the need for food donations. And today is the day that we send out all our volunteers to pick up the food that has been left by the residents.
So you are going to the residents' homes to do this?
That's correct. We dropped off bags at about 2,400 homes this past week. And so this week, this Saturday morning, we're sending out the teams to retrace those routes and pick up the bags that have donations in them.
After the food has been collected, it is transported to the food bank, where Nolan Van Bryce will give us a tour.
So we're right here on the loading dock with Nolan Van Bryce, and this is where everything starts from when the food comes in. Nolan, you're going to take us on a walk through the food bank. Just tell us how things work here.
Sure. This is really where the magic happens when a person decides to make a donation to the food bank, and that donation comes in the door to the food bank. Whether it's Mrs. Brown and her bag of groceries, or whether it's a group of school children that have done a food drive in their school, or whether it's an industry partner giving us 5 pallets of yogurt, for example. When somebody makes a donation to the food bank, the first thing we do is we get it in the door, and immediately we sort it to make sure that we have good product that is safe for the public and quality food. When our volunteers work with us, this is where the volunteers are sorting food on our conveyor belt here. And it takes 80 to 100 volunteers every day to go through sorting the food, organizing the food, breaking it apart into little pieces. In the warehouse, we have a huge amount of shelving in this building because we get donated food. We don't know what's coming in. We might get pasta, we might get baby food, we might get baby formula, we might get diapers. But we don't know what's coming in the door. And so for us to have the ability to take food and break it apart into little pieces and then take and reassemble it in emergency food hampers that are going out the door, because we know the content in there. Some of the items that we do buy from time to time, we end up buying our guaranteed items like ground beef, milk, margarine, and eggs, because those are just items that we don't get that many donations of. So we work with some of our partners to see that we do get more donations of say, ground beef. When you look over here at what the volunteers are doing, one of the things that we like to do for our volunteers is we really like our volunteers to have a less warehouse environment. So for example, things that we've done in the past would be these murals up on the wall here. We've had artists and other volunteers paint those for us, and then we put them up so that it seems a little less like a warehouse, a little more like a place that volunteers feel comfortable working. So the food that the volunteers have been sorting is the food that we have over here in the warehouse. And this over here is food that goes to our regional partners. So the Calgary Food Bank, because of our proximity, we're close to the food industry. So when Mrs. Brown donates a bag of groceries to the food bank, that bag of groceries stays here in Calgary and goes into an emergency food hamper. But when we've got one of our partners in the food industry that donates food to us, sometimes they'll say, you know, I'd like to see 10% of this or 40% of this go to food banks in and around Calgary. Now there's 32 food banks in south central Alberta, so from Red Deer down to the border. And so some of this food here that you see is food that has ended up coming from food partners, and we're going to take and ship it to, say, Tabor or Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, or up to Red Deer. Now another thing that's kind of neat in here is sometimes we'll get some very large donations. So cereal is one of the items that we guarantee in our emergency food hamper. And we had, the biggest donation we've ever taken was a donation of 600 pallets of cereal. And it was an enormous donation for us to take. It stretched us, but we shipped that cereal from coast to coast. There was a company that they had a donation of, it ended up being a donation of 220 pallets of juice. We're actually getting a donation this afternoon of a truckload of bottled water. It's a donation where they had a promotion, the promotion's come to an end, it's labeled specifically for a particular purpose, and that's done. So they're looking at what to do with it, so they're going to donate it to us. And as much as somebody can turn on a tap and get a glass of water, we can take this donation of bottled water and put it out into the public as well.
One of the many programs that the Calgary Food Bank has here is they offer a program called Hampers for the Homeless. And tell me a little bit about that, Noland.
Sure. A hamper for the homeless is a bag of food. It's about 4 days worth of food for an individual living on the street. And where this came from was people were saying that the content of the hamper, emergency food hamper, was great, but that it required a stove. These ones are pull tops, so it's ready to eat. Pull the lid off something, there's a fork inside of here as well, a person can take and have a meal right away. When they're seeing, say, a physician at a community health center, they can go in and they can get a little hot water or throw something in the microwave and get it heated. So it's stuff that's ready to eat. We partner with 13 agencies in the city, and the idea is that they can take and hand these to their clients, and we distributed some 12,000 of these last year.
After the food has been sorted, it is now ready for clients to pick up. All this and more coming up.